Good morning, afternoon, or evening to you all. I am Adam, the one with the theory, and this is Adam's theory. All right, I know that was very corny. Please bear with me. I'll try to find some better opening, but right now that's what we got for right now. Okay. So, hey, first of all, I want to go and thank everyone that showed love on my last video about the monk. Uh, I'd like to give a special shout out to a friend of mine that decided to write me an essay on the video. I really did appreciate it, and it's probably going to take me a month to answer every point that he brought up that he agreed and mostly disagreed with me. But hey, I appreciate it and thank you for the love, okay? I'm going to try to upload videos every Monday. I'm going to try to be consistent because somebody told me that being consistent is the way to make this YouTube thing happen. And I think you guys like what I got to say. And I think I got a lot to say. So here we go. This video is going to be something dear to my heart. Anybody who knows me knows that I love playing Monk, but the class that I love to play, that I think is the best class in D&D, no matter what anybody tells me, is the Warlock. I love the Warlock class, and I could probably talk about Warlocks and everything they do for maybe 2, 3, 4 hours. But as much as I know that you guys love hearing me talk, I'm probably not going to do that for 4 hours. So what I'm going to do is I'm probably going to break my Warlock video down. I'm going to have a video about each subclasses. I'm going to have videos about the invocations. And so this video is going to be a more general thing about warlocks and how you play them and all. Now, as I said, I love warlocks. I'm in four D&D campaigns right now, and I think three of them I'm playing warlocks. That wasn't supposed to happen, but it did. So I'm definitely getting my feel of playing Warlock at various levels with different subclasses and different invocations. So I can tell you the things that work and don't work with it. All right. So here's a general outline about Warlocks, what I like about them, and what I kind of don't like. Now, everything that I'm going to tell you is my experience playing 2014 Warlock. Uh, the new player's handbook is about to come out, so in another month or two, when I get my hand on it, I'm gonna go and do my own review on it, and I'm probably going to revisit that once I actually play with the Warlock. Because it's one thing to kind of see it on paper, but it's another thing to when you actually play with the Warlock and see like, okay, this works, this doesn't, so we get it from there. So pretty much with the Warlock, one of the biggest reasons why I love playing with a Warlock is the class writes itself. One of the my favorite things about playing D&D is the backstory. When you're making a new character, you're asking yourself, why am I deciding to do this? Like, why am I deciding to get off this farm or leave my family to go fight some dragons for a little bit of gold and stuff? Why am I deciding to do that? And with other subclasses, well, not subclass, but other classes in D&D, you you really got to be somewhat good with the writing, or have a good imagination with it. With the warlock, the class helps you. Like, who did you make a deal with? Did you make a deal with an angel or a devil or some sea monster or some entity that it's hard to even imagine and stuff? Okay? Also, your relationship with your patron, what type of relationship that you have with it. Are you guys friendly with each other? Do you have a relationship that you guys are butting heads and stuff? I know there's some people don't like to have a relationship with their patron, or don't want to put that extra stress on the DM that already has a lot of things that he or she got to do. But I feel like the relationship that you have with your patron adds so much flavor to the warlock. It's what separates the warlock from every other class, maybe except the paladin. You know, which I'll do a video on that one day. But I do feel like your relationship with your patron adds so much flavor to it. All right, and just go and see, like, hey, if you're the fiend, you could decide, hey, what type of relationship you have with this devil, a celestial, what type of relationship you have with this heavenly entity, you know? And that's something that in the 2014 version, you get at level one, okay? So at level one, you pick your subclass. So you could already start to think about the relationship that you have with your patron and why, hey, why did you decide to become a warlock? Why did you decide to go and offer your services to the warlock? Now, one thing I'm not a big fan of is that anytime you go and you pick a warlock, they're thinking that, oh, you sold your soul to them. And you don't always got to do that. Granted, if you pick the fiend, all right, there's maybe an exchange of some soul involved, but you don't always have to do that. Maybe, hey, you owe a debt to your family. Um, and that you have to pay back to this thing, okay? Or maybe you found something and you're like, hey, the patron that gave you your powers, like, hey, listen, you do this for me, I'll do something for you, and to help you along the way, I'm gonna go share you some of my power and knowledge to help you out with it. All right. Now, with a warlock, you have 2 spell slots. Yes, you get more as you get to higher levels. You get, you in at level 20 or at 4. But let's just say for most campaigns, you're going to have 2 spell slots. Okay, you are not a full caster, but not a half caster either. Like, you can get 9th level spells, but that requires, there's a whole little thing with that, which I'll get into later. All right, I actually got the D&D um, Warlock table up that I'm kind of going to go through to kind of help you out with it. So, like, at level 1, you got 2 first level spells. Now you don't got as many spells as other casters. However, the advantage with the Warlock is that you get it at a short rest. Now, I would advise you, don't don't blow your load so quickly, okay? All right. Um, People don't appreciate that, and your party is not going to appreciate that every time after a fight or an encounter you're begging for a short rest. Okay, so resource management with the warlock is very, very important. Just because you're in combat and have 2 spell slots doesn't mean you have to use both of those spell slots. All right. Sometimes it's a good idea. My rule of thumb is I try to use a concentration spell and then use cantrips. So I like using Bane, Hunger of Hadar, Fear, um, Sickening Radiance. It's some spells that they last a couple of rounds. So that way you get your money's worth with the spell. Okay. Yes, you could cast a fireball or a lightning bolt or something of that nature. But then after that, the spell is done. So it's best to, with a warlock, go and pick spells that require concentration. All right. Now, also the big thing about the warlock is that even though you get only 2 spells, those spells are always at the highest level. All right. So pretty much at level 5, all your 2 spells are going to be cast at 3rd level. This is important because when you get a spell at level 1, some spells allow you to upcast. All right, and sometimes that could be very, very helpful. All right, like an example is Bane. Okay, it's a level 1 spell that allows you to go and think about it as putting a little bit of a curse on 3 targets. But if you upcast it, each level you upcast, you get an extra one. So you get 4 or 5, depending upon what level warlock that you are. Okay, so it's very effective. Same thing with Hold Person. It's a level 2 spell that allows you to pretty much paralyze a humanoid. If you upcast it to 3, now you could go and target two humanoids. All right, so that is very, very important. So when you pick a warlock, sometimes you want to pick certain spells that have good upcast. All right, Hold Person is good for the beginning of the campaigns, but later on it could kind of fall off because sometimes when you get to higher levels, sometimes you're just not going against humanoids. So it makes no sense to like. It's great low level, but at higher level, leave it alone. Uh, a good upcast spell would be, I mean, Bane. As I said, Bane is great. Like, granted, it's a spell that you could get with a invocation, which I'll get into later on. But it's a great, 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 great spell to go and upcast on that with. It is great. Like, you could go and get like seven. Like, if you're surrounded by enemies, put Bane on them, and pretty much if you don't know what the spell Bane does, it the creature's got to go and make a charisma. I think a charisma saving throw. I believe so. I think it's no, it's wisdom. It's wisdom or charisma. Okay, all right. And against your spell DC. And if they fail, they anytime they make an attack or a save, they gotta roll a D4, and whatever the result is, they gotta subtract it. So it allows it's good battlefield control to allow enemies to kind of miss an attack or to fail a save, which they may need to, which your party is going to love for them to do. All right, so that's a good thing about that. Now, the bread and butter at level 2, what makes warlocks one of my favorite classes is the invocations. All right, the invocations are special little abilities that you can kind of add on to your warlock to customize them. All right, no, warlocks could be very, very different. Okay, very different, and I say they could be very, very different. The problem with the invocations, and I love warlocks, but that doesn't mean that they don't have their fair share issues. My issues with the invocations is that, all right, at level 2 you get 2, all right, and so they give you quite a few invocations to get. However, there's like 4 invocations that are like the bread and butter of the warlock. That if you're going to play a warlock, you're going to want to have these 4 invocations. One of them is Agonizing Blast. Agonizing Blast is something that you put on your Eldritch Blast. Oh man. Okay, I gotta go back. Alright, side note. Eldritch Blast. As a warlock, I just told you that you only got 2 spell slots, right? So if you only got 2 spell slots, well, what are you gonna do in combat? You're gonna be doing Eldritch Blast. You're gonna be doing Eldritch Blast 80%. All right, let me not lie. 90% of combat, you're going to be doing Eldritch Blast. So because of that, your invocations, they have invocations that kind of add on to it. All right. So at second level, you get 2 invocations. And most of the time with a warlock, you're taking 2 of these 4 invocations. Agonizing Blast, which you're going to be taking 95% of the time because it adds your charisma modifier. Okay, Eldritch Blast is great, but adding a plus 3 to 5 to the damage to that Eldritch Blast is extremely helpful, especially since the fact that with Eldritch Blast you get more of those Eldritch Blasts with your levels. At level 1 you only can shoot 1, but at level 5 you shoot 2. At level 11, you can shoot 3. And I think at level 17, you can shoot 4 blasts of Eldritch Blast, okay? All right? So that's Eldritch Blast is a D8 plus your modifier of 3 to 5, which more than like, let's just say 5, okay? So a D8 plus 5, multiply that by 2 or 3 or 4, like, so boom, all right? So Eldritch Blast could do so much damage, okay? So more than likely, you're going to get Agonizing Blast. The next one people are usually always going to get is Devil's Sight. All right, Devil's Sight is another invocation that allows you get 120 feet of dark vision. Okay, most people they start out with 60 feet of dark vision if they get dark vision at all. All right. Not only can you see in darkness, but magical darkness, meaning that if you decide to use the darkness spell, you're the only one seeing it. Okay. Which I do see a lot of people that do a lot of combos with it, where it's like they cast darkness on themselves. It's a concentration spell, and with darkness, anybody, pretty much if, nobody can see it because it's magical darkness. So dark vision doesn't work. All right. So pretty much, more than likely, everybody's blind. So when they in the darkness, they get disadvantage on attacks. All right. And you get advantage on your attacks because they're blind. The problem with that combo is your chances are you're gonna be the only one that's gonna be able to see through this magical darkness. All right. So yes, it helps you, and you're able to do a whole bunch of stuff. But now your team is also blind. So your barbarian is kind of messed up in the game. Your fighter, your paladin, all your melee characters. Your rogue your rogue is gonna despise you forever and everything because he or she's gonna be crying that they can't get sneak attack. So I don't recommend it. But having the dark vision of 120 feet that you can see through magical darkness is really, really good. Then you got repelling blast. Now, once again, remember what I said with Eldritch Blast. The higher levels you get, the more Eldritch Blast you get. So at level 5, you get 2 Eldritch Blasts. With Repelling Blast, when you hit a target, they move 10 feet, okay? So if I hit with 2 of them, I just moved the target 20 feet. I could probably push them over off a ledge or just get them far away from me so they don't go and try to hit me. Or if my wizard's in trouble, which it's a wizard, it's always going to be in trouble. And a barbarian or a monster is kind of close to it, I could push it away from it so that way it could get away. All right. And at high level, like I said, you get yourself at level 17, you're repelling that thing 40 feet away. All right. It's amazing. All right. So the things I've done with Repelling Blast, it's amazing. It's a great spell. And here's the best part about it. It doesn't require a save, okay? They don't got to make a strength check against nothing. It doesn't matter how big it is. If you hit it, you move it. It could be built like a house. If I hit you with my Eldritch Blast, you must move 10 feet, okay? The DM will hate you for it, but hey, it is what it is. Sometimes you got to give the DM a little bit of a headache, okay? And then you got Armor of Shadows, because majority of the time you don't got good AC. So Armor of Shadows pretty much gives you mage armor for free, which pretty much mage armor, what it does is it makes your AC 13 plus your dex. So those are the usual, so it's kind of good. It's not going to be anything major and stuff, but hey, I would say like this: having your AC 15 or 16 is a lot better than 11 or 12 that you would have without it. So most of the time, you're going to start out with those 4. Majority of people do the agonizing blast and repelling blast because they're really good. They could kind of get away with the not having the other 2 as of yet. But most of the time, it's going to be agonizing blast and repelling blast. Now, the reason I bring this up is because the whole part about a warlock that makes them so great is the invocations, and that every warlock could be different. I'm playing 3 warlocks, and none of the warlocks are the same. But they could have been very easy. I could have very easily picked the same invocations, like those same 4. I could have just picked them because they're that good. So what I recommend is try other invocations out with a warlock. All right. Now, if you want Armor of Shadows, what I would recommend is warlocks, which I ain't gonna lie, I do, even though I play warlock all the time, all right, and I feel like when it comes to warlocks, I am their patron. I sometimes forget that I am proficient in light armor. So with that, try to get yourself some light armor. I don't think you start off with it, but I would recommend get yourself some light armor and save some money and get yourself some magical light armor. In fact, hold on real quick since I have it. I just want to make sure that I know what I'm talking about over here. Equipment. You get yourself leather armor. Okay, so you do start with leather armor. I sometimes forget about it because sometimes I kind of take the leather armor off and just put the mage armor. But use your mage armor. I mean your leather armor. Now, with that, when you're actually, pretty much picking out, you're rolling your stats, what I would recommend is, I understand charisma is important, so is con. but also try to invest in your decks as well. All right, try to see if you get yourself a +2, maybe 3 in decks. 3 is good too. In your decks, if you're rolling for stats, great. If you're rolling for stats and you got 3 good stats, decent stats. When I say decent, I'm talking about like you got 14, 15 and stuff. What I would recommend is if you have 3 good stats, definitely try to invest in your decks. Your charisma, of course, you definitely want it your highest. After that, if you could get away with making Dex your second highest and maybe Con your third, but that all depends on, if you're rolling for stats, how good that you roll. Hey, try to get yourself some leather armor, some studded leather, even magical, so that way you don't have to go and use the armor shadows and stuff, okay? Um, that also helps. Repellent Blast is great, all right? It's one of those things where if I'm playing with a couple of warlocks that don't have repelling blast, and believe me, I'm hurting with it. But godly, if you could get away with not having repelling blast, don't have it. Agonizer blast, you're always going to need it. All right, that putting your modifier on top of of your dice roll for the damage is super important. So you rarely need it. Devil Sight, to be quite honest with it, I don't use it as much as a lot of people think. I mean, a lot of characters in D&D already have dark vision, so Devil's Sight is like it helps. You're just being greedy with it, and and sometimes I like giving my party a hard time. Like I'll be real, like if I'm playing with a party and they're really experienced with it, I won't pick dark. I'll pick a regular human with no dark vision, and I'll just complain that hey, I need a torch. You know, I'll complain about that all the time that I need a torch and everything, or I need a moonlight, or I need a moonlight sword or something like that. Just to so that way I'm not dependent on that invocation. All right, so there's that. Now at level 3, you pick your packed boon. So pretty much this is all right. Think of it as all right. The your patron, either the fiend, the celestial, whatever, has decided that you are, you know, you're worthy. All right, you are proving yourself enough, and they decide to give you a pact. All right, all right. So there's 4 packs. All right. Um, let me go right here. Let me see my packs. Where you at? Where you at? All right. So there's Pact of the Blade, Pact of the Chain, Pact of the Tome, and also Pact of the Talisman. So there's four. There's 4 of them. And to be honest, I played with all 4. And oh my goodness, I have talked for over 20 minutes already. That's what I told you. Like, so I'm gonna have to make a part 2 and maybe 3 to this video. Okay. So pretty much I'm gonna have to stop at level 3 of the Warlock. All right, but I'm gonna go start talking about the packs. All right. So you got Pact of the Blade. Majority of the time, if you pick Pact of the Blade, you're picking the Hexblade. All right. Majority of the time. All right. You don't have to. You really don't have to and stuff. But Pact of the Blade works a million times better with it. But with Pact of the Blade, pretty much, it makes whatever weapon that that you're carrying, that you want to use, it makes it magical. All right, which is a big factor in everything because later on in campaigns, a lot of monsters are going to be immune to magical damage, the non-magical attacks. So yeah, you're kind of going to want to have a magical weapon, and with Pact of the Blade, you don't have to beg your DM to give you one. All right, and um, also with the weapon and stuff like that, you could kind of like if you lose it, you could kind of bring it back by doing a ritual and stuff. It's pretty good with that. There's a lot of good invocations with it, such as Thirsting Blade, which allows you to attack twice with your weapon. So you become like actual melee fighter that at level 5 they could attack twice. Now you can as well. You get Eldritch Smite, which you smite harder than a paladin. It is Eldritch Smite is devastating. Okay. There's also some other invocations that you can kind of get to kind of stack on with it with Pact of the Blade. But as I said, majority of the time, if you're picking Pact of the Blade, you're going to pick Hexblade. I have played a Warlock that did not take Hexblade but took Pact of the Blade, and it was really, really good. I actually had my weapon a short bow, long bow, and it did so, so good. Once I'm gonna go and do a whole video of of the invocations and certain things that you could do. All right. Pact of the Chain is pretty much you got a familiar with you. All right. Now, your familiar is a lot better than the familiar that the wizard or sorcerer gets. All right. It has a lot more benefits that you could get from it as a familiar. All right. I think you get better, more options because I think with the Find Familiar spell, you only get like with the regular spells, you get like maybe a cat or a crow or a pigeon, something lame like that. With the Back to the Chain, you could get yourself a little imp. You could get yourself a little baby little dragon. You could get yourself a little sprite or some other ugly looking thing. So you get yourself more options, and some of these familiars have a lot more benefits. Like I know with the imp, he could be invisible. So there's been plenty of like I'm playing one in my Tuesday game, and I had my like if I need to scout some places, I could just have my familiar turn invisible and kind of scout. And there's other invocations that you can add on to it, such as hey, I could go with share the vision of my familiar with myself, so I can see whatever it sees and stuff. So I could scout a whole castle invisible by himself. Rah rah rah. Now, make note your DM's gonna catch on to it, and he's gonna kill your familiar a lot. I just want you to know that. If you try to go and scout the area visible, like yeah, I'm gonna go look at the whole area. Your DM is gonna it's gonna get hip to game, and they're gonna kill your familiar. And your familiar is not gonna like you very much that you're always sending it out first in dungeons, always to get hit and sniped. Or you're gonna be like, wow, a lot of these enemies we're fighting has true sight for all of a sudden. I wonder why. All right. Then you got Pact of the Tome, which is pretty much if you want to be a wizard but not suck like a wizard, you get Pact of the Tome. It gives you like your own version of a spell book that you could put some stuff in. There's invocations you can add on to it to give yourself be able to cast ritual spells. You could also put people's names in the book to give them some benefits, such as like maybe like a death ward, or you could make contact with anybody that's named that you put in the book. It's really good as well. So there's also Pact of the Talisman, which I've also played. Not a lot of people like that one. It was the newest one, and it does have some benefits to it. Being able to have something that it adds a D4 to it to your any type of ability check that you make. So anybody who wears it, it pretty much gives them the blessing spell for ability checks. So they add a D4. So if you have a thief that's about to pick a lock and you really just want to make sure they do it, you give them that, they can add a D4 to it. Or if you have the paladin that's in heavy metal and that's going to roll at disadvantage, all right, you can give them the talisman so that way they can add a D4 to it. And yes, this does stack with bless. So if you have bless, if someone get blessed or somebody want to give guidance to the person, that's 2d4s that you can add to the ability check. It's really good. They have other invocations that could go and you can add the d4 to also saving throws, which is really good. And once again, it stacks with blessing, so really, really good. So I'm only at level 3 with the Warlock, and I could go and talk so much about it and stuff like that. But I think, to be quite honest, there's one more thing I probably want to talk about. And all right, so one more thing that I'll talk about it. So I guess my video is just gonna have to be over 30 minutes. All right. So you can only with a warlock, you can only cast spells at level 5. That's the highest level spell slot that you get. All right. Now, at level 11, you get something called Mystic Arcana. Mystic Arcana. Yeah, Mystic Arcana. I know I said it right. All right. If I didn't, then, if I didn't say it right, then shut up. Okay. So anyway, that gives you pretty much once per long rest. It gives you a level 6 spell. All right, that you can cast. You can cast that spell for free. Uh, and pretty much it's once a day. You don't get it back to a long rest. Okay. You also get a level 7 spell at level 13, a level 8 spell at level 15, and a level 9 spell at level 17. Okay. So, yeah, so because of that, you're a full caster, but not a full caster. Like, yes, you're gonna be getting the same amount of spell, like, not amount, but the same level of spells as any other full caster until level 11. After that, because you don't really get a level 6 spells, your patron has to go and gift you that. Like, here's one level 6 spell and stuff like that. Here it is. Have fun with it. Now that I think about it, I'm probably going to be doing a video on some of the Warlock spells and the Mystic Arcanum spells that you get, because like some of them are good, some of them are but I'm also going to be real with you. Uh, you get level 6 spells at level 11. Most of the time, your campaigns, well, if you're playing a module and stuff like that, most campaigns end at level 10. All right, let's just be fair. Unless you're playing, there's some campaigns that do, but yeah, most of the time you're not. But if you do play, but I will be doing a video for those who have the good fortune of playing some high level campaigns, because oh boy, they are juicy. All right, so I only got up to level 3. As I could say, I could talk so much about the Warlock. I have literally talked about the Warlock for over 30 minutes. And like I said, I could have gone into the subclasses, I could have gone on the invocations, I could have gone on their spells. So this is part 1 of my Warlock videos. And I'm probably going to do, I think, like, I guess I'll do part 2 next week. There's a possibility that what I may do is I will probably do I may do it next week. It all depends. I'll do some videos on the invocations, which I'm probably going to have to do. I should be able to do that under 20 minutes, 20, 30 minutes. Okay. So I do want to thank everyone who lasted this long in watching one of my videos. Okay. Because you just pretty much had to hear me talk about Warlocks and how great they are for over 30 minutes. So if you're at this point in the video, I want to say thank you. I'm going to keep trying to drop videos every Monday, so that way I get some consistency with it and show you guys what I like. Hey, do me a favor, drop a comment, show some love. I really do appreciate it. If you guys got any videos that you want me to watch, let me know. Hey, if you guys got a recommendation for a video that you want me to do, let me know. I'll do it. I could do any and every class besides the druid. I cannot do a druid video. I do not play with druids. I do not play with druids because of a good friend of mine, and I can't do it. If you guys request me to do the druid video, more than likely, I'm just going to have him do it. I'm just going to have him do it because I don't play with druids, okay? Anyway, I want to thank you very much for watching Adam's Theory. I'm your host, Adam. I want you to enjoy the rest of your day. Enjoy your week. Mwah, love you.